All right, today we're talking about why salary ranges matter. I know, you might be thinking, this means nothing to me. I'm not involved in the hiring of people within my organization. I am just a person who does work. Well, I want to talk about my personal quest for why posting salary ranges matter. So I have a friend who has over a decade of experience within the geospatial industry. Recently, she went through the process of applying for a new role. She was really excited about the possibility of this role, and throughout the interview process had asked, what can I expect as a salary range? They didn't ask her what her desired salary would be, which is on them, but she consistently was asking, what is the salary range going to be? So she got to the final round, they offered her the position, and then you know what happened? The position was over $30,000 less than what she was currently making. It wasn't a position that she loved that much more or was going to change her quality of life that much that it was going to be worth taking a $30,000 a year pay cut. And that's something that could have been avoided if the company put the salary range in the job description. Now, I totally get it. If you are a company that is hiring, it is really, really scary to put a salary range in job descriptions because that is putting out what you are paying. It can make it harder for internal compensation. There are all sorts of reasons, and I have empathy as a business owner for why that can be hard. But I think it is really important as we as an industry begin to think about what does it mean for us to be more equitable? What does it mean for us to be better stewards within our community and to promote justice and inclusion? What does it, like part of that, it actually starts with us including the salary ranges within our job postings. So the Gender Equity Hiring Project, genderequityhiringproject.org, has done a lot of research on why posting salary ranges is really important, and I encourage you to go take a look at them. But here are a few of the reasons that they have that are based in research that I think make a lot of sense about why salary ranges matter. So the first is that it represents an organizational commitment to transparency, trust, and equity, right? By putting a salary range within a job description, the company is saying this is what we're actually going to pay and that they are actually valuing being transparent within things. The second of all is that it helps facilitate fair negotiations between employers and job seekers, particularly within women and people who have been historically marginalized. So one thing that can be really hard is if you say, ask me for my previous salary. As a woman, I tend to have not negotiated as hard in the past as I should have. I also may have some gaps in my resume because I took time off to care for children or to care for family members, or I may be part of a marginalized community and I just haven't had as many access to opportunities. Now, that's not just saying that you should just pay people more because of that, but by being able to say this is a salary range, I'm better equipped to be able to negotiate. There was a job that I took where I had no idea what to ask for because there was no salary range associated with it. I gave them what I thought was an outlandish number. I ended up sort of every time they asked me about my salary, I ended up increasing it and increasing it. So I ended up increasing it $20,000 over the course of that time. Came to find out that I should have asked for even way more. And right, that's something where as a woman, I didn't really know, I didn't have the network or other things where having that salary range would have been really helpful to me. Yes, is it uncomfortable for the company because they potentially be having to pay me more? Absolutely. But you're actually paying people what the value is that they bring to the organization. And it was clear, right? Because they were willing to pay me that $20,000 more than what I initially asked for, they recognized that there was a lot of value that I was bringing to the table. Another reason why posting a salary range is really important is it guarantees that both the employers and the prospective employees' time is being used most efficiently. So that's going back to the example of my friend from earlier, who she would have never taken all of that time to go through that job interview process, only to find out at the end that the job was not going to pay what they wanted, what their expected salary was at the end. That's also eating up a lot of time on behalf of the employer of time that, they spent interviewing my friend when she could have just, when they could have been interviewing other people who would have been a better fit at the salary range that they were expecting. Additionally, by posting a salary range, it really helps to filter out candidates who are not a good match because they're not within, they're looking for compensation that is different than what you're offering. And that's okay. It just really helps with that filtering. And so those are some of the reasons why putting a salary range within a job description is really important. So you are probably thinking, great, those are all really good reasons why having a salary range can matter, but I am not hiring people. I may work for a company who has policies or whatever, and I can't change the system. Well, here's a few things you can do. First, you can start asking. There's nothing wrong with asking because that indicates that this is something that matters to you. So one thing that you may notice that I do on LinkedIn all the time is when I see a job posting that does not have a salary range in it, I ask. I do that because I'm currently in a secure position. I am not looking for other work. And so I feel like, hey, I can just ask because somebody who's on the job market may not want to ask and out themselves that they're looking for work. So one thing that you can do is to just begin asking. I have ended up seeing people post job salary ranges because I have asked, or they, provided, based off of their own experience. And some of these positions were being compensated way, way better than I was expecting. And so that is a super important reason why asking can be really helpful and important. It also, by asking and commenting, it indicates to companies that there's enough people beyond just me and my comment quest that value having salary ranges in job postings, right? If companies begin to see that this is something that can help differentiate them within the workplace, right? Just like we see working from home, espresso bars at work, beer on tap. I believe that that is something that then will lead them to start putting salary ranges within their job postings. One thing that I use now is an app called Boards, which is available both on Android and iOS. And it allows me to have quick responses that are a little bit longer than what a shortcut could do on Android or iOS. It takes over my actual keyboard. I don't know if this is going to make any sense, but I actually have just some shortcut responses that just sort of say something like, hey, I see that there's not a salary range that's listed in this job posting. Is that something that you could provide a little bit of insight into? I have ones where I also provide more of the reasons, like what I talked about at the beginning of the video. So I'd encourage you to just have some short responses ready that when you see a job posting, you ask about the salary range because salary ranges really do matter. Another thing that you can do is if your company is hiring, is let them know that you think that putting a salary range in the job description is a really good idea. It tells them that you care. Salary range may not get put in the job description, but it at least tells them that there are people within their organization where this is something that matters to them. Another thing that you could do is begin sharing your salary. I know that sounds super scary. At a basic level, go to glassdoor.com and enter in your salary. That is really helpful information for people to be able to understand what salaries they should ask for at a company, as well as, for being able to do salary negotiations if you're able to find comparable companies. Putting your salary on Glassdoor is something that you really, really need to do. Another thing that you can do is say your company is hiring and you want to share that job posting. The salary is not listed in it, and maybe you had that position a few years ago. You could say something like, when I started at XYZ company X years ago in my role, my salary was $50,000 a year, or whatever that may be, right? That's contextual information. It's old information. You don't have that role anymore, but that's information that you can provide that would be really helpful. You could also say something like, the salary range isn't listed in this position, but I can give you some insight into what my salary is. If you end up applying, please feel free to send me a message, right? Figuring out a way that maybe you don't have to put your salary totally out there on the internet, but that you can be open to people who can use that information in a negotiation. The goal with all of this is to help try and create more equity within our workplace. We want to create more opportunities for people, and we want to be able to make sure that people are in the right role. Putting salary ranges on job postings is not hard. It is very, very scary. I want to applaud all the organizations that are doing it, and I hope that this video is something that really inspires you to make these things. Comment away, ask for the job, ask for the salary to be listed. Ask your company about listing the salary. And please, for the love that is all that is good, go to glassdoor.com and put your salary on there. It is something that will help a whole lot of other people. It would also mean a ton to me if you liked this video and if you subscribe to the channel. I am Juliana McMillan-Wilhoit, cartographer of change for both people and organizations, trying to put out a variety of content that helps people create a geospatial career that they love.